Hello, it's Orange 22, and it's depressing to be an MRA. I'll be honest with you. It's a very depressing thing being a men's rights activist. It's not a rewarding life at all, and it's not a rewarding thing to be. And I know a lot of you are wondering, when am I going to start doing my new videos, my new equipment? I just haven't been feeling it the last few weeks. My life is going good, work wise, career wise, everything, is going good. So whenever I start going back to the men's rights space, it's just so depressing. It's just so negative because when I'm in the quote unquote real world for long enough, I can forget. I can forget about the men's rights world. I can forget about the problems that men experience, even though it's a lie to myself because I know I'm still experiencing the misandry, right, that exists. You can kind of pretend and lie to yourself that, oh, those things right now, I'm not worried about that. But the truth is, you can never really escape because when you realize just how bad things are, and when you realize just how bad misandry is in society, you can distract yourself, but you can never really escape. It's always there, it's always affecting you, whether you realize it or not. So, being a men's rights activist isn't something that I want to be, it's something that I have to be. And it's something that I have to be because I know right and wrong, and I know the things that are happening to men today. And I know that those things are wrong. And so the right thing to do is to oppose that, misandry, is to be a men's rights activist and resist the sexism that exists against men. And I've gotten a lot of emails over the past 2 years from some of you, my followers, you know who you are, and some other MRAs who follow my channel. And you've been very critical. And you've said that I'm too soft. You've said that I'm not enough of an anti-feminist. You said that I'm too optimistic, and I don't really understand how bad things are because I try and stay positive. The thing is, it's not that I don't understand how bad things are. It's that I've always thought that the way you express yourself and the way you show yourself is very important in the way you're perceived. And I think the men's rights movement has a very big problem in the way that we're perceived. The way people look at us and talk about us and think about us is negative, right? People think, incels, which is completely unfair. And I know that. But again, try and think about how regular people think. They think misogynists, they think, extreme alt-right, all these, crazy things that, they read on different articles and different media sources. So they don't really know who we are. But if we're going to really show them who we are, then we need to approach them with respect, and we need to try and be more positive, and we need to try and be someone who a person would want to approach and talk to. So imagine you're sitting outside in Central Park in New York, at a table alone, and you're really, really angry, and you sit there looking angry, right? And you sit there looking like you're upset with things. Is a person going to want to come and approach you and talk to you? Seeing you looking like that, Or are they just going to kind of be scared off because of the way they see you, right? The way they think about you. Now, you know who you are sitting in that seat. You know you. But that stranger doesn't, right? That stranger, they don't know who you are. They just see a person who they have a lot of negative stereotypes about sitting there looking angry, so they're afraid to sit down. So imagine looking away. That'll make a person want to come and sit next to you, want to come and talk to you, want to come and speak to you, see what you're about, learn who you are, learn what you're about. And I went through a really tough period the last 4 months, really kind of since early November, late October, where I've just struggled with this sense of identity about, yes, I'm a men's rights activist, but it's beginning to become my personality in a way that I don't like, because men's rights isn't really something that I am. Men's rights is just something that I believe, The person that I am is Thomas Carney. He's not an MRA. He's just Thomas Carney. So I am an MRA, and I do believe it 100%. But I have to ask myself, the way I was doing this channel and the way I was talking about men's rights wasn't productive. And it's because I made it more of one of my personality traits rather than one of my beliefs. It was something that I went around acting, because I wanted people to watch my YouTube channel. And I was good at it, kind of. I had good conversations, but then look at my subscriber count. I'm a joke, pretty much. I'm pretty pathetic. I'm at 1,300, whatever. If that. But Blue Orange 22, I kind of made it into a little bit of a brand name, and people recognize it across the manosphere. Anywhere I go in the manosphere, people recognize the name Blue Orange 22. Even if they're not like a fan or a subscriber, they've heard the name. Okay, that's great, but how did that really affect the rest of the world in which I live? What did that really do for men all over the world? Nothing. Because who was I talking to? Well, I was talking to people who are already in the manosphere, people who are already MRAs. And that's great and all, but what we need to do as the men's rights movement is we need to start reaching out to people who are not MRAs. We need to start reaching out to the people on the outside, right? People who we think of as enemies, people who we think of as anti-MRAs. We need to talk to those people because I agree, some of them are just straight up manipulative, bad people. They're not acting in good faith, and we're never going to have an honest conversation with them. But there's a lot of people who are not like that. And there's a lot of people who are just genuinely misled, and they're genuinely manipulated. And I think that their minds can be changed, and I've seen it happen before. And if you want to see examples of it, go to the men's rights subreddit and just type in, search the men's rights subreddit, search in former feminist. And you'll see a lot of posts from people, from ex-feminists, former feminists, who they came to the men's rights subreddit and they started talking to men's rights activists and they started talking to MRAs and they started engaging the men's rights space. And their mind just completely changed because they were so surprised at the way men's rights activists were. And what they were expecting was a misogynistic, hateful movement. But then they talked to MRAs and they went to a men's rights space, men's rights subreddit in this particular example, and they realized that, wow, MRAs are actually very cool. They believe in equality. They're not bigots. They're not sexists. They're people who really do believe in equality for all. And they change their minds because of the experiences that they have with the people that they're talking to. And the people that they're talking to, right, in this case, were those users in the men's rights subreddit. But you need to start thinking about situations where that can apply to you. You are the MRAs that they're talking to. What is the situation in your life where you can go out and talk to someone and people will think, wow, that person's a men's rights activist, but that's not what I expected a men's rights activist to be like. They were cool, they were friendly, they were polite, they weren't sexist, they weren't misogynistic, they weren't bigoted. And I know this is a scary thing, and I know that's why this video is going to be difficult for a lot of people. I know it's going to be unpopular with a lot of people. I know it's a scary thing to open yourself up to the world that you're an MRA, that you're a men's rights activist. And I know this because I was 22 when I really became open about it. And it caused a lot of problems. I'll be honest, a lot of people saw me in a different way. And a lot of people who were old friends and even family, I was able to convince them back by talking to them. Some of them, not all of them, but some of them, I was able to explain this and this is what that means. This is what being an MRA is about. It's not like a hateful thing. It's not like an alt-right thing. We just believe X, Y, and Z, yada, yada, yada. And I was able to kind of explain, kind of what it was and kind of convince them, oh, okay, but it took work. It took struggle, even with my own relatives. It took struggle because the perception, the misconception is just so strong about what the men's rights movement is. So, I guess the main message of this video is I know it's not easy. And it's not easy for me, and I'm not perfect, and I have moments where I'm a coward and I keep my mouth shut, and I wish I could speak out loud, but I don't. So I know what that's like. But I've also come out openly as an MRA. And yeah, sometimes the consequences suck, but I did it because I thought I had to. If you really want to get the men's rights movement to the next level in terms of public awareness, if you really want to like elevate what the men's rights movement is now and empower us and actually make us capable of achieving things like changing laws or getting people to see, hey, how come there's not enough shelters for men, or how come we mutilate baby boys and call it circumcision, how come we do all the stuff like that? We can make that change, but we can't make that change if we're silent. So at some point we are going to have to speak up. And we are going to have to be out loud with the people that we know, with our friends, our families, our coworkers. And no, it's not easy. And yes, it is scary. I've made that jump, and I'll tell you, yeah, it's scary. You can get hurt, absolutely. But if you really believe in the men's rights movement and you really believe in the things we believe in, if you really believe in equality, so what? I mean, yes, don't do it if it's going to totally mess up your career, like if you can get fired. But like someone thinks you're an MRA and they hate you for it. Well, what does that say? That says that they have no idea what the men's rights movement is about. And what we need to do is go out and show people what the men's rights movement is about. We need to change people's minds about what the men's rights movement is about. And that's my message to men's rights activists. We've got to change the picture. We've got to. We keep talking to ourselves, having group chats with ourselves and, sending each other emails and sending each other all these stuff, but we already agree with each other. So what is that really accomplishing? It's like an MRA sending an email to another MRA. What does that achieve? They both already agree. So if you send me a story about a male victim of domestic violence being unfairly treated by the court, great. But you haven't changed my minds because I already know that happens. We need to be reaching out to the people who don't know that happens. We need to be reaching out to the people who think that those kinds of stories, oh, that's just misogyny in the press. They're just trying to erase women victims by talking about men victims. That's the person that we need to be reaching out to. And those conversations are tough. Those conversations are not easy. I know. I've had many of them. And the reason why I haven't been around in a while, I know I haven't posted a video in a while, I want to say that I'm just like totally depressed and my life just sucks and I haven't felt like coming to YouTube, but that's actually kind of not true. My life's going pretty well. It's just the men's rights movement. It's just every time I come back to it, it's just so depressing when you realize how bad things are, and then you go to work, you start a new job, and 6 months later you have like these, 8 or 10 or 12 new friends, people that you like, people that are cool. And then something will happen and there'll be a conversation where they say something which is just so misandristic. Like they'll laugh at like a male victim, or they'll just say like, MRAs are all incel losers or whatever it is. And you realize like, wow, this is a person that I thought was like cool. Like, cause we get along, we hang out, it's all good. And then the men's rights movement gets brought in the conversation and it just changes like that in a very negative way. And it's just you realize, Jesus, it's 2024 and things are still this bad. It's like we still have to lie about it. We still have to tell people that we're not MRAs if we want to be accepted. Like, we're good people. Like, the men's rights movement is a good group of good people. So I know that all of you watching this, if you're an MRA, you understand exactly what I'm talking about. You've been through this struggle. You've been through this trial, this tribulation. You've been through this attack where people have attacked you just because you're an MRA. Believe me, you're not alone. Okay? There are thousands, tens of thousands, probably even maybe millions of people, definitely millions of people, who agree with you because they felt that very same attack. They felt that same assault against who they were as a person just because they said they were an MRA, just because they said they were a men's rights activist. Good people like you. So you are not alone. So the one thing I wanted to do this year, 2024, right? I wanted to really bring the men's rights movement together. And I really kind of want to bring the good parts of the manosphere together. But I want to kick out the people like the Andrew Tates and then the Fresh and Fit. Those people are no good. But the MRAs, the men's rights activists, the fathers' rights activists, the intactivists, we are a good group of people. And you know what? If we want to get recognized that way, and if we want our opinions to mean anything, if we want to actually change anything and make any positive effect on the world, we need to start speaking out to the rest of the world. We do a lot of speaking to each other, but that's not going to change really anything. We need to speak to the non-MRAs. We need to reach out to the non-MRAs. And if you're watching this right now and you're someone who came here because you wanted to see what MRAs are about, and you're not a men's rights activist, you're against the men's rights movement, and you're against men's rights activists, hear this, okay? Challenge me on what I really believe. Ask me any question you want about any position. I have no misogynistic beliefs. I have no sexist beliefs. I believe in equality straight up. That's why I'm an MRA. That is why I am a men's rights activist, because I believe in equality straight up. And you talk to 99% of MRAs and you will hear the same thing. That is what we believe. Yeah, there are some bad apples. There are some rotten eggs. But that's true in any big movement. There's millions of us. Talk to us. Find out what we believe. Because the conception that you have of some crazy alt-right misogynistic group is just not true. It's just not accurate. That is not who we are. So anyway, I know this is kind of running on in length. We're at 11 minutes 15 seconds. I look at my YouTube stats and I find that anything over 6 minutes, people kind of stop watching. As a YouTube content creator, you can see in the studio statistics, and you can see how long people watch videos. And people, like, after 30 seconds, like, half of them already don't watch anymore. So maybe it's me, though. Maybe I just suck at making stuff. That could be it. But I know it's a little bit late for my 2024 message, but this is the message I want to have for men's rights activists in the new year. And this is how I think we have to be moving forward. We have to start talking and engaging with non-MRAs. It's the only way we're going to grow.